Welcome back to another incredible episode here on the Systemize Your Life YouTube channel. I'm super excited because today I am bringing on an incredible special guest to talk about all things dreaming and juggling home and business. Rachel Fernandez is a current student of mine inside of Systemize to Scale, and she also is running her own company, phasing out of her 9 to 5, just had a baby, is hitting major goals in her business, and she's here to share with you exactly what systems have done for her and how she truly believes that this has been the one thing that has helped her get consistent and reach her big goals. Let's jump inside of today's episode. All right, friends, welcome back to another incredible episode here with Systemize Your Life. I'm super excited. We have a really fun guest today, one of my students and an incredible wife, mom, and business owner. Rachel, welcome to the Systemize Your Life podcast and YouTube channel. You and the baby.
And the baby. Yes, we have 3 people on the podcast today.
We have 3 people on the podcast today because Rachel said nap time's not going as we had planned.
It's
and
not.
This is where we are. And this is exactly why we're having this conversation because isn't it the life where we're trying to juggle all the things and it doesn't go as planned and we still have to either figure out what we're doing or give up on everything. And that is not what you have done. And I'm really excited to talk about that. So introduce yourself. Tell us what you juggle on a regular basis. Tell us all about your babies and your family and your dreams and your goals and the business that you run. We'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Chelsi. I'm just so excited to be here. I am, like Chelsi said, I am a wife to a wonderful man named Alex, who is a high school math teacher. I have 3 little ones, a 6-month-old who's joining us today and may just chime in here and there, a 2.5-year-old son, and then an almost 5-year-old daughter. And we are just, in the thick of it right now, which has been amazing and pushing me to my edges every day. But on top of that, I also currently work as a lawyer, kind of on a contract basis, part-time at home. And then I'm also growing a business that really helps moms who are dealing with emotional dysregulation, that mom rage, that anger just from overstimulation and overwhelm, calm themselves by calming their nervous system and learning just how to support their nervous system holistically. So, and I love doing that over at the Ditch Mom Anxiety podcast and through my 6-month group coaching container called the Transformed Mama Experience, which is really my biggest passion and where I am working with Chelsi to go full time eventually, but and work kind of away from the law job that keeps me busy as well. But yeah, I mean, it is just nonstop over here for sure.
Yeah, it's so much. And I know it's so much. Like I watched you go through the whole pregnancy with your most recent baby and then showed up one day with like an infant. And that was like right at the moment where I was like, are we like done having kids? And then you popped out this little baby. And I was like, every time you would show up, I would just be crying in the background. I'm like, I think I want another baby. And then I
They're
was
just
like
so fun.
watching her do the juggle, and I was like, maybe I don't want to start over. Maybe we're good. So that's
Oh,
been
the
really
constant,
fun.
yeah, the fact that you don't have a system that lasts for more than like a week and a half before everything changes again, it is
It's so fast paced because, it
crazy.
just, it's really interesting because we were out shopping the other day and I was thinking about this. Our oldest one is about to have her 13th birthday. So it's like a week of celebrating, like a little thing here and a little thing there and a little thing here and there. And I just was like, you know what? I think it's just different because there are so many new things that really are happening every single day. It's just they're independent of us. Like her big thing, she's like, I want to take my little sister shopping by myself. And I was like,
Oh, that's so
oh, how do
cute.
we do that? So I have a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old running around Old Navy. And she was like, go, go, go. And so my husband and I are just sitting at the front of the store.
Oh my gosh, I
They
love
walked
that.
out of the store. And like we like went over and we were just trying to check on them and they both were like, and I was like, "Oh my
Leave
gosh."
us. We
So
want to
there's
pretend like you're not here. Stop reminding
there's
us.
so many new things that really are happening, Like there really are. But it's just not like I need my diaper changed and it's not like all the things all at once and the
Yeah.
nursing and the feeding and then I don't know. So I feel like obviously getting to watch you go through all these seasons while you're transitioning out of full-time work as an attorney into doing, your business from home has been really cool. So I really, I haven't asked a whole lot of other people that have come on the show to kind of talk about what their big dreams were, but I'm really curious what is like the big dream on your heart that you're chasing after right now that made you want to get super organized. And even if that's not exactly where you want to start, we can kind of get into that. But I do want to know, like, what is this big dream that you have for yourself as a mom? And what are the obstacles that were getting in the way and making you feel like that might not be possible so much so that you would have invested in a program to help you?
Oh, where do I start? Like, I think
Mhm.
the one thing I am good at is dreaming. And I think that the dream that has just kept me moving forward, even in, the hard times and the struggle, and is just to be home with my babies and to be home with my babies on my own time. Because even as I've shifted and created flexibility for myself over the last few years, from like an in-office job as a lawyer to being at home, going back in the office for a little bit, coming back home, it's like that flexibility has given me so much freedom to be with my
Mhm.
children, to see them grow up, even though we have help in the home. I have a nanny that helps us out, but I'm here. I'm able to like see them, eat lunch with them, do all the things. But that big dream is to be able to be here with my kids while I'm also impacting the world in with my talents and experience. Like I've always been kind of a big dreamer, and I have
Mhm.
such a passion for moms because, as we all know, as we go through this motherhood journey, like it just expands us in ways we don't understand. And I think I see so many, and I know you do similar work, Chelsea, with what you do, is that we see so many moms in the struggle of just feeling like that overwhelmed, overstimulated exhaustion is what the normal is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I was very close to that level around when I met you, or when I found you, because for the lack of systems that I had in my life, I had been kind of through a holistic health journey for myself where I had really put a lot of things in place to help my anxiety, to be able to help me show up in the world in a much more calm manner, but I was still feeling a bit of the chaos in the home and the work. And I remember when I found you, I was like, "Oh, she says there's a way that I can actually like put in structure, put in some routines that I had always kind of pushed against, of like, I don't have time to do that. I have to get my work done." Like, and what I think you helped me realize is that how much more time we get back when we take the time to do kind of what I look at as the hard now versus the easy now for the hard later. We do a little bit of the hard now to have it much more easeful as we go forward because we
Yeah.
spent the time to put those systems in place. And I knew that I couldn't build a business while raising
Mhm.
tiny children and working a job as a lawyer without burning my house down in the process and my marriage if I didn't have, something helping me keep structure and keep focus. And so that's my big dream, is like, how do I impact these moms that I'm so passionate about sharing my expertise on nervous system, on regulation, on being able to support your body in a way like you talk about with your fundamental needs, like getting those things in place that you actually can do.
Yeah.
You do have the ability to do. How do I impact these women and still make money that my family can live off of, that gives me the freedom to actually be with my kids, where we're coming off of 2 weeks of sickness and crazy, crazy nights for the last 2 weeks, where I can just say, look, I'm taking today off, and I'm moving the things that I know I have that I can, and I'm doing the things I have to do because I am so clear on exactly what I need to accomplish in my business every day. I'm so clear on what needs to get done in my home every day. I know what can shift, what can drop, what can be moved, because I know what I have to do. You can't, I just never, ever, ever would have been in that place before I met you. And I think that's one of the things, like, I know I'm kind of going back and forth between dreams and like how you've helped me get there, but, or like how we're on that path. But I just look at myself before I met you and now, and like even in the last 2 weeks, where I would say almost every system of mine has not functioned in any way perfect, like no perfection at all. But it gives you that foundation to go back to every time things fall off the rails, of like, okay, I know where to start. Okay, I know like what the basic bones of what I need to get accomplished are right now. Like I know how to pull it all down to as little as possible to, get through this time to then jump right back into it when I'm ready and I know exactly where to start. And
Yeah.
that time save and that mental like unburdening, I think, of
Mm.
instead of trying to keep everything in your head and like not really knowing what you can do and stressing because you're like, well, I can't do this and I don't really know how it's going to affect my business and like all of the things that come from not having systems in place. Um, it's just that ease, even in the hard, is
Mhm.
so just I think important and something that I just didn't realize. I've always been one of those kind of unorganized people. My brain does not work like yours at all. Like I am very like all over the place, visionary, like crazy. I don't know. It just, my brain just does not work in a systematic way. And so having your expertise to come in and help me like look at my life and the coaching that I've had from you to be able to just kind of start seeing things in a different way that I have never looked at things before
Mhm.
has really changed how I look at everything.
Yeah.
Even though that's still not my strength, like I can now, I have a
Mhm.
different lens to look at things, which is
Yeah.
huge.
It's not systematic, those systematic lenses that I'm like, here, let me just like, you can look through this for a while. And that's the goal, right? I have so many things. I was taking all kinds of notes when you were talking, which
Sorry, I
is
just
so
rambled
great.
for a very long time.
No, it's so that's exactly what we want to do. Like, I just want to hear, and everybody wants to hear. There are so many people that there's two people watching and listening to this right now. The first, it's the person that's like super skeptical of like if this would ever even work from them, just purely on like, should I even do what the podcast and the YouTube channel are telling me? And then there's the other person that's like, I'm so bought in, but do I give her my money and my time?
Yeah.
Do I give her my dreams? Do I trust her? Do I trust myself? And we'll talk about that in a second too. But some of the things that I'm just going to go back through my notes really quickly because first you said the thing that I always say, but I say it a little bit differently about the hard, right? It's hard no matter what because we're mothers. And if that's all we were, that's so hard. But then we're wives and we also were given these other talents, and those talents, they speak to us. They're in the form of passion, and they're in the form of giftings, and they're in the form of all these different things, and they speak up and they don't lay themselves to rest because you're busy. They speak up even louder, you know? And there's like all these things that we feel like we have to do. And also like the dishes and the laundry and the toilets, right? Like, and then the dog. It's like, why did we get a dog? I mean, I love the dog. You know the story with the dogs, the whole thing. But I just feel like for me, the thing that I've always told people is it's hard either way. But at the end of the hard, I want to know that it amounted to something. I don't just
Yes.
want it to be hard and then go to bed at the end of the night, at the end of the week, and feel like I failed and feel like a failure and turn around and be like, I have no idea what I did with my time. I don't even know what
Yeah.
my kids wore today. I don't know when the last time that they bathed. I don't even know what we've been eating. I might, but I don't want to admit it. Like the amount of just sheer exhaustion, right? It's like when you have a nonprofit or you have a business and you're running it and it is sucking the life out of you and you make $0. Like you can only do that for so long before you quit and give up. But when that thing returns, major results, major impact, and income, well, of course, right? There's benefit in that. And it's the same thing. If you pour into any relationship, a marriage, and it doesn't return for you, what happens? The thing goes down the tubes, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with our kids. When we work so hard, and of course, we love them, but it returns void in the satisfaction of being a mom when all you feel like all day long is somebody's short order cook and servant. And the form of the word that I use in my house is disrespect when I've just bent over backwards for you all day and you just treated me like I was just supposed to do this for you, right? And then we look at our businesses right on top of that and the things that we need to do, they don't ever come into the picture because that is our story. And that was a story that I wanted every woman to be able to rewrite for herself is that those things don't have to bleed us dry. They can actually do the opposite and fulfill us when the hard work actually amounts to something, because that's just the nature of the beast. If you went and you trained your heart out for 6 months to a year and you saw no physical changes, right? If you shifted and you started doing things differently in the way that you ate and the way that you slept and you still felt like crumb every single day, what you wouldn't keep doing it, right?
Right.
It's the reward at the end. And so I'm always like, if you're gonna work hard, like let's work hard so that at the end of it, it actually amounts to the thing that we were hoping, or sometimes it's not exactly what we were hoping, but there's still so much fruit that it bared in the process, right? So
Exactly.
I just couldn't agree with that anymore. And I think it's one of the funnest things for me is obviously to see that happen in my own life, but I took a big chance on me. And now I'm putting that out into the world and I see it do the same thing for other people. And I'm like, that's super cool. And so I want other women to take a chance on themselves too, to be able to do that. The other two things that I heard you say, specifically related to your business, you said, I knew without the systems, I wouldn't be able to grow a business the way that you want to get yourself out of the current dependency. And this was the other thing that you said is I want to be able to have money that my family can live off of, right?
Yeah.
And to be and what you do, right? But being and I kind of equate it to what it was like whenever I was kind of like at the peak of my career as a sign language interpreter, where I had clients that would keep my schedule busy, but I was like literally at their mercy. And I've heard you talk about this before. It's like when they need you, and you need the money, so you have to go do it. And it's not really full control of your schedule, but your family needs the money, right? And I've talked about this so often. Even if, which I think most families now, American families now, both husband and wife are contributing financially to the family. Whether they have to or they want to, they're still doing it, right? There are some families where, yeah, one person could work, but the other person still wants to. That is this thing where I'm like, how do we figure that out? How do we make sure that we can have a business with systems so that we can create the impact that we want with these passions that we have, but also so that it can provide consistent income that our family can live off of and can depend on? Because that's like an actual thing that like has to happen. You know what I mean? It's not something
Yeah,
that we can
totally.
just mess around with. Like it's a real thing. And I think so many women don't understand that you can do that from home. There are many business models that teach this, that you can do this type of work from home and you can juggle that while being an incredible mom. So those systems specifically, like just off the top of your head, what are a couple systems that you feel like have allowed you to be able, and I know you're not 100% out of your legal work yet, but I still do interpreting work from time to time because I love it. I don't know that I ever would be completely out of it, but what are the systems that you feel like have allowed you to get super consistent in your business that you were able to learn and implement?
Yeah. I mean, I think that workflows are huge. Just like being able to understand my not only business needs, but being able to juggle like my job requirements with my business needs in the limited amount of childcare that I have required me to be able to sit down at my desk and like know what to work on. And I would not have ever been in that. I would have been still in the world of making a to-do list at the end of every day, getting to the office, looking at the to-do list, trying to figure out which one's the most important, which one can I get done fastest, or do I do the quick ones or do I do the hard, like all of the things that waste so much time and mental energy on and sacrifice, especially in when you are limited in time, whether you're a mom, like working in the nap times, or, you're like me, where you have
Mhm.
childcare that you have to get things done during. None of us are just oodling with time because, we're moms and wives and we have homes and no matter what that situation looks like. And so being able to sit down at my cockpit and even if it's not, even if I forgot to reset it on Friday or it isn't in
Mhm.
like the perfect way it is, I know exactly where to look. And even just the practice of continuing to update it, to continuing to have a
Mhm.
cockpit allows me to be so streamlined in
Yeah.
sitting down and getting things done
Yeah.
because like I said, even if I sit down and it's kind of messy, like I still have so much of a head start than where I was before.
Mhm.
And that's where I always, my thing with my clients is always like perfection, that progress over perfection. And that is the
Mhm.
same thing with I think Chelsea systems because I am definitely not like the A student that has really dialed into being perfect with it every single week. Like that's why I still have her coach me. That's why I love to like just keep getting better and better and refining it. But even in just doing the best I've been able to do on learning things like the workflow, of learning things like time blocking. Again, huge for my mental load of just being able to
Yeah.
see, like, think about my day in these blocks. Um, has transformed how I show up as a mom because I can really designate my morning time to my morning routine and then the AM block before I go to my job. And then that's my job time. And I'm not doing laundry during my job time. Like, we've got all of the things that I was just throwing everything together in like a big
Mhm.
giant smoothie before and nothing was working at all. Um, but
I love that.
like,
It
just,
is.
I
Just
don't know.
blend it
And I
up,
think,
baby. Just blend it up.
yeah,
Just
I know.
put it all in there.
Just
Chug
blend
it
it up.
down.
Like,
I
don't do
love
that.
it.
It's horrible. But I think that really the undercurrent of everything that's helped me is just the mental organization that comes
Mhm.
with thinking through
Mhm.
the things and systems, like going through the motions of looking at what your routines need to be in each block, of looking at what your cockpit needs to look like, and looking at how much time do I have to work this week and where are
Yeah.
things going to go?
Yeah.
Instead of just like, okay, I'm going to show up to work. I'm not going to really know how much work I have. I'm going to try to get some stuff done. I'm going to hit a couple of things in my business, and I am never going to know if the needle is moving. And I'm
Mhm.
never going to know if I'm actually accomplishing anything.
Mhm.
And then I think the third biggest thing for me was really the way that you help us set goals and track how we're getting to them, how we're
Mhm.
tracking our project time, how we're actually accomplishing things in our business. Because before I met you, I mean, I had been floundering around trying to make some kind of business work for probably 2 or 3 years. And it was much different than what it is now. It was not the same iteration, but without really any idea of like, am I making any progress here? Because yeah,
Yeah.
I could look at the money and the money wasn't coming in, but I also couldn't say like, well, am I growing at all? Like, I just kept
Yeah.
switching from thing to thing because I wasn't sticking to a project. I wasn't looking at goals in a very systematic way, the way you do with your stepping stones and like
Mhm.
looking at how you're spending your time and where is your project time going and how do you dedicate that project time in a way that's going to
Mhm.
get you to that next stone and how do you gauge it? That has been transformational for me. And I don't think I've technically hit a single like big like BHAG goal in the sense of like the direct BHAG that I put on the paper,
Yeah.
but going towards it has gotten me in that direction and
Mhm.
actually allowed me to look back and be like, I am finally making money in my business and I actually do see a path forward when it has
Mhm.
been. I'm having to change the BHAG now to from, what it
Mhm.
was before because it's actually doable.
Mm.
That's been huge of
Yeah.
like just knowing where to point yourself, where to point your ship and keep it pointed that direction until you have the information you need to shift.
Which is like literally my next question, but you already answered it. Is just, I was curious if you felt like you're still dreaming or if you're actually on a path to doing the thing. Like, there's a space where everyone sits and they wonder if, or maybe they've already started and they're doing it, but something's not quite right. Like the needle's not moving. They have no idea if they're even going in the direction of their dream. Nothing about it is coming to fruition. So give me some like specifics. What parts of your dream have unfolded or are unfolding? What's actually become a reality for you now that wasn't there before?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing is my business is actually making money, so my husband believes in it, which is great.
That's always like the like,
Because it was like,
see?
well, and I think looking back, like when I really came in, especially when I came into Systemize to Scale, I had made very little. And I mean, a few things here and there, but nothing really consistent in my business. And as soon as I
Mhm.
did Systemize to Scale, it was the first time I started getting consistent income in my business.
Mhm.
Still wasn't a whole lot, but it was consistent.
Yeah.
And it started proving to me, okay, I have something here. Like I'm doing the right thing and I'm going to keep moving forward. And then, I keep doing the work, I keep working with Chelsi, do the strategy stuff and like just taking things very systematically through the stepping stones, through the goals every year, through the life changes of moving to a completely different city, having another baby, like all of the things that come.
Yeah.
And then in January I had my first, I think it was technically a $6,000 month and it was like,
Mm.
okay, like that's livable. Like it
That's
needs
amazing.
yeah, I mean it's
I
huge. It
just
was
got
huge.
goosebumps everywhere.
And my husband still, he's like, really? That really? I'm like, I remember looking at him and being like, babe, like it, this is happening. Like this is happening. Like still, there's still a lot to do. Like, like we
Yeah,
need to build the
but it's
consistency, but
that's
it,
amazing.
it's just like, okay, like if there's a path, like it proved the path, if that makes sense. Like my of course, I have bigger goals. I have lots of things that I
Sure.
want to do consistently
Yeah.
for a year, but it was the first big step of like, you're on the right track. This is possible. Like, and just keep going forward. And frankly, if it weren't for Chelsea, I would have been like, okay, great. Now what? You know?
Yeah.
But it's been so great to come back from that and be like, okay, and now what's the next step? How do we shift the BHAG from here? Like, what is the next stone that we need to get to? Um, but yeah, I mean, so yes, things have things have definitely changed and goals have definitely been hit. And yet I still am in the dreaming stage because I'm, like I said, I'm a dreamer. My dreams just get bigger and then we go from there. So
Yeah, it never really ends, right? Like I have huge dreams that aren't even a glimmer of reality yet for me in my company. And we've like my first goal was to make 10K in a year. And then shortly after I was like, oh, maybe we'll make 10K months, you know? And then it
yeah,
changed from that. And it does. The goals, like we keep for those of us that are cut from the same cloth in this way, um, you just keep dreaming bigger and bigger
yeah,
and bigger. And it's so great and so fruitful. But the truth is, congratulations are in order. That was from your consistency and your hard work. And the one thing that I really am trying to sell to every single person that ever comes within, you know, listening range of my voice is that showing up consistently will produce for you. And the only way to really get that done is with systems, in my opinion,
definitely.
because, you know, I think it's just like such a testament the fact that like I mean the baby's sleeping on your shoulder right now is supposed to do this during nap time. Like you've been able to be consistent through moving, which is wildly hard if anyone has ever moved before. It is a monstrosity because everything goes out the window. The
100%.
kids don't even know where to get their toothbrush to do a nighttime routine. Like what are we
Yeah,
talking about? Like you literally are now responsible for everything until you do the massive project of getting their spaces put back together. And how do you like just that is so much. And then having a baby on top of it. Like Rachel's literally was showing up to calls with like a newborn, like a baby, and she's like in it, she's like, we're doing this.
well, and like the fact that I had my first $6,000 month, like
Mhm.
3 months after I had him, the only way that's possible is because I had systems in place. Because I took time off. Like I wasn't doing a
Yeah,
whole lot in my business
no,
after I had the baby. Like I did kind of a launch and then I had a baby and kept a few things going and then showed up for another launch and then bam, $6,000. Like,
yeah,
and it's not
yeah, it's
like the bam,
amazing
it's the everything for the last few years that's been put in place that allowed me to be able to do that and
for sure.
make it. Of course, there were hard nights and there were things that I had to do and I had to, work around things. Of course, it's not easy, but it is easeful, I think, when you have
Yeah,
those systems in place where it
yeah,
does come with more ease and you're able to hit that resistance, see the resistance that pops up as a mom, and know one, when to take care of yourself and have the flexibility to do that. But like you talk
yeah,
about with your fundamental needs and knowing your body and like how important all of that is, while also seeing resistance and knowing you have the discipline and the systems in place to continue to push through when things get messy and things get hard and you know the important things to stick with. That just prioritization is huge.
yeah.
Huge.
Which is so hard to do when you don't even know what is a priority.
Yeah,
Everything feels urgent to most moms because of one, their nervous system. But a lot of times that nervous system can be calmed just by how we organize things in our home or business, but also
100%.
in our brain, right? And I see that so much with people that I'm close with that are not running my systems and their brains are kind of all over the place. And it's interesting too, because when women first come into the program, and you see it now as a student that's been in there for a while and watching new people come into the group calls, you can see their energy shift so much from the first few times they show up. The way that they're posting, they're a little bit more frantic, they're nervous, they're in fight or flight 100%. And
Absolutely.
that immediately begins to shift as they start going through the program. Some people takes longer than others, truthfully. Um,
Totally.
and that's totally okay, right? But um, it's just such a really cool thing to watch people be able, because what I want people to be able to do is to be consistent. And I think children are so inconsistent. Nurturing a marriage is really hard. Um, and just our own personal health, the kids' schedule, right? There's just so many things that are inconsistent if someone's struggling with their health, right? With their nervous system, with chronic fatigue, with whatever it might be,
Mhm.
that brings a lot of inconsistencies. And we want to be able to keep up with what the demands are at home and what the demands are at work in order to see the return on our investment at the end of all of it. So,
I think that that's my encouragement to anybody that's listening to this and has maybe been around Chelsea for a while. Maybe you're not. I mean, when I found Chelsea, I was like, I think it was almost immediate. Like I heard you on something. I went and like binged your podcast and I was like, sign me up right now. And it was worth every single penny. There's been very few things that have transformed how I look at my life, like Chelsea's systems have. But if you are sitting there on the fence and you're like, is this going to work for me? I just encourage you to just do it for yourself, of nothing else. Because if you take care of yourself and you finally allow someone to come in and help you just organize how you're looking at your life, how you're looking at your business, how you're setting things up. And you allow someone to make that easy for you in some ways where Chelsea is going to hand you the keys to the castle. Do that for yourself. You're worth it. You are
mhm.
worth it. And you are able to pour so much more into this world, into the things that God has put on your heart, and into those babies that are growing up so
Mhm.
fast when you are able to ask for help and recognize when there is a solution for you sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think so often as moms, we are so unwilling to look at our needs. And as you talk about all the time, Chelsea, the fundamental needs and how important those things are, but we are so unable to see how much God has designed us to surrender and to allow for other people and their expertise to come in and pour into us, just like
Mhm.
we pour into the people in our lives, that we
Yeah.
can't do this amazing work in the world without the help of other people. And so if
Mhm.
you have felt that calling in your heart and you have felt Chelsea stuff resonate with you and you're just questioning like, is it worth it? I can tell you it is worth 100 times more than what she charges for these programs because like I said, it's going to help you just simplify your life. It really,
Mhm.
really, really does, where you just are able to start looking at things in a different way and it changes everything. It really does. I mean, even like I said, even if you're not doing the systems perfectly, just the ability to look at things different is going to enable you to make the strides in your business you want to make, to show up as the calmer mom that you want to be, and to really just hit those goals out of the park in a way that God has put those things on your heart. And I think that is just absolutely, it's just unmatched. I think that pouring into yourself in this way is one of the best things you can do as a mom.
Well, I love that. Thank you for encouraging women because sometimes it takes somebody else encouraging them. I can encourage them all day long, but they're like, really? You might be biased.
Yeah.
And I am. I really am.
But you've
But
also seen
Rachel,
the evidence and you see
yeah,
people like
I
me
do.
showing up every day and how these things transform their life. So we're all very thankful for you, Chelsea, and the work that you do for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I'm grateful for people that have trusted me for sure. It's so humbling. You know this at this point, right? When somebody is like, "Here, I'll give you my money." I take that very seriously, but also when somebody's like, "I'll give you my time," when they already feel like they don't have time. Like those are resources that are hard to come by, right? Like time is limited
Totally.
and money, for some people is limited. Um, and for a lot of people, it is limited. So I'm always just super grateful and humbled. Rachel, I can't get enough of this sleeping baby, but I
Yes,
am
he
going to
finally took
wrap
his
up
nap.
because he finally took his nap. He just needed mom right there. Just needed
Whatever.
mom. His little knuckles. I'm like, I could just close my eyes. I can actually remember what it feels like to have my
Their
baby
little
with their
chunky
little Oh
little
my
little
gosh, you can
hands.
actually like it that you don't ever forget what that feels like as a mom. It's just like ingrained in your DNA? Okay, well, tell everybody where they can go and connect with you other than the show notes and the description down below this video, obviously. But Rachel, where can people go to connect with you? Tell us the name of your podcast again so that other moms can come and soak up your goodness and learn more about your business.
Yes. So you can find me. The best place to find me is my podcast. Anywhere podcasts are played at Ditch Mom Anxiety, where I really help women and moms, especially moms of littles, regulate their emotions by calming their nervous systems and really doing that in a holistic health way of really supporting your body physically with what it needs to kind of help calm that fight or flight that we've been talking about. And I love hanging out over there. We do episodes twice a week. And then I'm also on Instagram at Coach Rachel Fernandez. You can find me over there sometimes, but I definitely check my messages over there. And then, but yeah, that's where I love to pour into moms, and I would love to meet you. And if you have any questions about Chelsea's programs, feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm always happy to chat about my experience and why I am without a doubt know that it's probably the best decision for you too. So,
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
of course, thank you for having me, Chelsea.